It's time for a coolant change on my trusty 2000 Honda Shadow ACE. My name is Fred. This is Make This Your Project. It's a beautiful day to do this job. Let's get started. I've already removed the seats. I turned the gas line off and I pulled the fuel line to the carburetor from the gas tank, and I've removed this mounting bolt for the gas tank. That takes a 12 millimeter wrench. I just used a box end wrench, pulled that out, and now I'm ready to remove the tank. Lift the tank up off the frame and guide it back, clear the handlebar, set it off to the side. Very easy to do, and it makes the job a whole lot easier to get in here and get at the tank and the radiator to get the draining and the flushing done. I also removed this plastic cover from here that sits underneath the gas tank. A couple of little trim screws that you back out so you can pop it loose from the holes, and that gives me access to the radiator cap. I need to remove that radiator cap so the system will drain when I open it up on the bottom. And again, the motorcycle has not been run. It's cool. Make sure it's cool before you do that, or you can have coolant blow back out of here. Don't do this after you've been riding it and it's hot. Let it cool down. Now we have to open up the drain plug on the bottom. It's on a little pump down there. I've got a drain pan ready to catch the coolant, so I can transfer that to a jug of used antifreeze when I'm done, so I can dispose of that properly. I need a 10 millimeter wrench to get underneath, and on the side of this pump, it's kind of hard to see. I've got it broken loose where I can turn it easily. It was pretty easy to turn. Just put my box end wrench on it. I'm going to back that out till it's really loose, and then get the pan underneath. I don't want this antifreeze on the driveway. Not with Molly around. She's taking a nap right now, not helping me, but she'll be out here at night. And cats and antifreeze don't mix. This is kind of an awkward job to do if you just got the bike sitting on the kickstand, but I don't have a motorcycle lift. And we're starting to run out here. There we go. Got a little bit on the driveway. I will wash that down the drain. With the bike tipped the way it is, the gravity will help feed that out. Before draining the system, I made it a point to wash everything up underneath with a little bit of engine degreaser and some simple green, so I didn't have any debris and oil present when I pulled that plug out. You want to have a nice clean surface to work with. I put a block underneath the kickstand to raise it bike up just a little bit to give more clearance for that pan before I do the flush. I emptied the antifreeze out of the pan, so now I can pour some distilled water through the system and get it cleaned out. Perfectly clean funnel here, fresh one. Don't want to get any oil in there. Got some of my funnels have oil in them. And I'm going to run a gallon of distilled water through the system with the drain plug out to flush as much stuff as I can. And I have an endless supply of distilled water. Whenever I need to replenish the jugs, I simply put the tank back in the dehumidifier in the basement, and I keep emptying it into these jugs, and then I've got distilled water for things like coolant changes, stuff like that. We don't use it for pure distilled water for food or anything like that, but it's really handy to have for things like this. So let's get this thing flushed. And I have the pan underneath yet to catch it. I still don't want the antifreeze pouring on the ground. And I hear it coming through. There's still some color of antifreeze coming out. We want to get that all flushed. You need to use distilled water. You don't want to use tap water. Tap water has minerals and things in it, can really screw your system up. Always use distilled water for this type of thing, or when you're diluting antifreeze. That should do it. Another step I took was to disconnect the hose going back to the reserve tank here, the overflow from the top of the radiator fill up there, up by the fill cap, so I could drain most of that out. I'm going to go on the other side on the cap where you can top things off, and I'm going to flush that backwards with a little bit of distilled water to get any residue out of this overflow tank. You can see in the pan here some of the crap that got flushed out of the system. Since I don't have a compressor close by, I'm down here by the house, I'm just going to take this small electric leaf blower, hold it down over that spout, and force the rest of the liquid out of that overflow tank. This step is not required, but it's recommended, and that's run this thing a little bit with some pure distilled water in it to get rid of any remaining residue. Run it a little bit, burp the air out of it, a little over 2 quarts of water, and then let it cool down, drain it again before you put the coolant back in. So I'm gonna put roughly 2 quarts of water in here, let it fill up to the overflow. And it won't take the full amount just yet. We're gonna have to let it settle in. You can hear it gurgle as the air escapes. I'm going to check how much is in the overflow. I don't have any in there yet, so I'm going to add a little distilled water directly to the overflow. I've done that. I'm going to put the cap back on the overflow. I'm going to set the gas tank just on top of the frame, hook the hose up so I can run the motorcycle just for a few minutes to burp the air out of it, and then let it sit so that it circulates a little bit. Got the tank hooked back up. I pull the cap back off in the radiator so that the air can escape, and I can hear it doing that. I'm going to start this thing up and let the engine run for a couple of minutes and force the air out of it. I've let it run for about 5-6 minutes here. Should have circulated the water through. Got to let it cool down, come back, drain that distilled water out, and we'll fill this thing with coolant. I let the motorcycle cool down. I drained out that distilled water, and I still got a little bit of residue and a little bit of antifreeze in the solution. Pretty light though, but it's out of there. I've got everything bottled up, the drain plug put back in, the hose hooked back up to the reserve tank. I cleaned that out again. Ready to put some antifreeze in. This is not the exact recommended antifreeze for this Honda motorcycle, but it does meet the requirements for everything I have checked. It's a Prestone Max Blue, and it is certified for aluminum engines. It is a POAT antifreeze. You just have to be careful. You can't put standard run-of-the-mill antifreeze in here. It'll corrode up that aluminum engine. It'll damage it. But we should be okay with this. And it's an older bike. I'm just going to go with what I can get locally. I wasn't able to find much else. I'm going to hold the funnel here. You notice I got the tank back on. I'm able to get to this now because I had to take off the tank to get that other extra little cover off. Well, that extra cover is still off, so I can get at this thing. So I'm going to pour some antifreeze in slowly while it gurgles away till I get it up to the top of the filler neck here. We should have, when we're done, about 2.5 quarts in here. I'm pouring it in slowly to give it a chance to have the air bubble out as much as I can. I'm going to check, see how close I am to the top. Not quite there yet. I am there. I'm going to run it a little bit to let some of the air burp out again, about 3 to 5 minutes. Rev the throttle a little bit to force the air out, and then we will see where we're at, top it off, fill up that reserve tank, and we should be done. I can just barely see the antifreeze at the top here, and I can see when air bubbles come up, and they are coming up. The antifreeze level is going down slowly as the air leaves the system. I still have a visual on the top. I'm seeing the air bubbles. I'm just going to let this sit now for a couple of minutes, give it a couple more boosts with the throttle, and we should be able to add the rest of the antifreeze and be in pretty good shape. Keep an eye on it. Might have to top it off a little tomorrow. Everything is topped off. All the caps are back on. I'm going to put this thing back together, put that cover back on here and the gas tank back the way it belongs, and get the seats on here. And keep an eye on the antifreeze. I'll do that in the reserve tank. You watch that between the low and the high mark and keep it topped off there. You don't add at the radiator. That's why I can cover that back up again. It was just handy to uncover that for this big job of adding all the antifreeze. We're ready to go. Tomorrow I will take it for a little spin just to check it again, get it warmed up, change the oil, and it'll all be ready for summer driving. If you enjoyed today's video, please click like, consider subscribing to my channel, make this your project. And once again, enjoy your projects. Thanks for watching and take care.